So if you ever wonder why you've watched all the YouTube videos, you've watched all these courses and things like that, but you still can't seem to get any money in the bank. And this seems to be the common issue, us as entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs seem to face. And it was something that I faced for a very long time. I had the knowledge, read the books, but I just had no money in the bank, or any business that I did start failed. And there's one specific reason why this is the case for you. And in this video today, in this sort of mini course, I'm going to go over exactly how you can solve this problem, and I'm going to share with you the knowledge that I've spent thousands on courses to gain, and I'm going to give it to you guys for free. And what I actually learned from spending over £10,000 on courses, which by the way was one of the best things I ever did, was that there's some key aspects that are missing. So the four main aspects I want to go over, and this is not just what I'm going to be talking about in the video, but these are the four main points that I'm going to elaborate on. Is a paradigm shift, and I'll get to exactly what that means if you're not sure what that means. A community that's going to hold you accountable, and some sort of mentor, and that doesn't have to be a mentor in the sense of someone around you. It can be through books, can be through YouTube, or it can be someone like me, on YouTube trying to show you or teach you the way, and not in like a judgy way, but the way I learn how to do it, so I can show you guys how to do it as well. First concept I wanted to talk about is shifting your paradigm. Now I'll get into exactly what a paradigm means in a minute, but essentially this is how you view the world. So just a little story, when I was younger and growing up, I would hear things like turn the lights off, or don't have the windows open while you got the aircon on, or we need to save this money on this amount when it'd be a few pence on electricity bills and things like that. And although it come from like goodwill and my parents trying to teach me how to be good with money and things like that, when you adopt these beliefs as a child, this begins to develop a scarcity mindset within you. And what I realized from being around a lot of millionaires and business owners and things like that, they do not have this scarcity mindset. Some of them do, but the most successful ones have a mindset of abundance. As when you're in a mindset of scarcity, this, essentially shuts off doors for you, shuts off opportunities, because you're going to be in that mindset of, play it safe, don't take that risk. When really, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you've got to capitalize on a lot of risky opportunities and things that are going to come your way that the normal person with a normal belief system is going to turn down, because, they need to pay the bills, they need to do this, and they don't want to take that risk that could financially ruin them in some cases. And I'm not saying go out here and, gamble all your savings on this opportunity that's come on, this new crypto. But there's a certain mindset you need to have towards risk, and the attitude you need to have towards opportunities in business. And a paradigm, it's not the official definition, but a paradigm is essentially how you view the world. So, this is you, this is your eyesight, and this is how you view the world. And this is essentially a combination of your belief systems, your perceptions, your actions, your behaviors, and also your assumptions about the world. And this is the number one thing you need to get right, or you'll never be successful. Because, this has happened to me as well. When I first started making a little bit of money, my paradigm or my view of the world was not correct, and I ended up blowing it all, losing it all, and going back to square one. And people talk about all the time, and I remember watching YouTube videos when I was younger saying that it's all about mindset and things like that, and it's not about the strategies. And I'm like, yeah, but Vaughan, show me the strategies. I want to see how you make the money. But really, unless you have the right mindset before you, it does not matter what amount of money you're going to get put in front of you, you're going to lose that money, or you're not going to be able to handle it, because, even if you're not religious or anything like that, they say God only gives things to people that they can handle. And, in order to do that, you need to conquer some adversity first. But, we're going to solve this issue here and now, and we're going to give you the correct mindset and the correct paradigm to view the world as a successful entrepreneur in this exact video. So in life, a lot of us are, taught things, and I remember hearing things like this, and you can probably relate to this as well, being told, if I won the lottery, I would do this, or if I won the lottery, I would buy this. And this is the total wrong mindset to have towards life, because this essentially puts you into the bank of, life is chance, life is gambling, you're only going to get rich by getting lucky, which, is complete BS essentially, and, you're never going to get there, because, I've never placed a bet in my life. Well, actually lying, I placed a bet on a horse once, and I won £2.50 back, and I placed the bet for £2.50, so I just broke even. But other than that, I've never been into gambling or anything like that, because I knew from an early age that the more you get into gambling, things like this is conditioning your mind to think the only way to make money, or the only way to become successful in terms of getting an exponential return on your money, is through gambling, which, is totally wrong. And I'm going to get on late into the video why this is wrong. What you need to understand, so this view of the world, how you view the world, so this is you, and what makes up your paradigm is your perceptions, your beliefs, your attitude, and assumptions. And essentially your perception is how you view the world. So this might be, for example, you might perceive poverty as someone, it's their own fault, they put themselves there. Or on the contrary, you could believe poverty is because, they had no opportunity, or they grew up from a poor family, so therefore this led to them being poor. So that would be a perception on poverty. Beliefs. Now, this is something that a lot of us are, don't have much choice around when we're younger, because when you live with your parents, you live at home, you've got to incorporate the beliefs that they give you, and from your teachers and from your school and things like that. And only in later life, when we begin to individualize, that we begin to create our own beliefs, and we read books to create our own beliefs and things like this. And your attitude. So, for example, something with attitude would be, I don't like this job, I hate my job, so I'm gonna go to work and I'm gonna do as little work as possible to get by. Or you could have the attitude that, I hate my job, but I'm going to be the best at what I do anyway. And that would be the other attitude. And then assumptions. So this is what you assume to be true about life. So you may assume that all rich people, got rich because they were greedy and they ripped people off and they just got lucky. Or you could assume that all rich people created something of value and they created a business that provides value in the marketplace, and therefore they got paid in proportion to that value. By the way, at this point in the video, I'm going to say neither of them is wrong or right, and that's something we need to get out of our heads as humans, that, there's one right and one wrong, because, that's not true. And usually wherever you are, so if you're highly religious, for example, and you ignore science, that's usually where you're going wrong. If you're, highly scientific and ignore religion, it's never right, one wrong. You need to have a mixture of both of them, and that's what's going to allow you to be successful. Because often in life, the thing that we're lacking is the thing that we're ignoring, or, we stack too many stones on one side of the argument rather than adopting some of the beliefs of the other side, which is often what we're missing in order to be successful. And, the harsh truth is that your paradigm actually, your brain is what allows you to be successful. What opportunities are presented are you depend on your perceptions, beliefs, and attitudes and assumptions. For example, if you have the attitude that, or you have the belief, that all people got rich by getting lucky, then you're not going to try, because you're going to think, I have no control, luck is the only way to get rich. And this is going to automatically cut your brain off from opportunities, because you're not going to notice them. And there's something to do with your brain where it's a goal-seeking mechanism, and this is something that comes from, studies back, I believe, in the 60s from a neurosurgeon who wrote the book Psycho-Cybernetics, where essentially talked about this inbuilt goal-seeking mechanism inside your brain. And for example, have you ever seen, and I was actually speaking about this to a girl the other day, how she kept saying that she was noticing a car everywhere, the same car, and that used to be her granddad's car. And that is because she is consciously aware of that car. So therefore, your brain picks stuff up on a subconscious level and makes you aware of it. And it's the same with opportunities. You're going to ignore opportunities because your mindset is not in the right place. Then you're going to let them pass by, and they could be opportunities could potentially take you from where you are now in pain and broke, and could make you a millionaire. And that's what you're missing out on. The second thing I wanted to talk about is a false sense of entitlement or responsibility. Something that really changed the game for me was accepting the fact that where you are and where I am in my life right now, how much money I have in the bank, where I live, my car, my beliefs, my attitude about life, it's all because of me, essentially. And I don't mean that in like an egotistical or, a way that I'm just talking like I'm amazing. I mean that because people put the blame onto other people. They talk about the reason I'm poor is because of the government. Or the reason I can't make any money is because of the Matrix. Or, even in life, and you don't have to be religious to believe this at all, but, it's, there's demons, or, the devil's out to get me, or this dark force essentially is preventing me from getting rich, which, is not true. And, essentially, what we can't see on a surface level is that every little tiny decision we've made in the past has led to where we are right now. And once you accept responsibility for your life, and, you can really look in the mirror and understand that that person looking back at you is the person who is solely, responsible for where you are in life right now. And, this can be quite scary at first, but it's also, very liberating, because it reminds you that you are in control ultimately, and that at any given day you can wake up the next day and change your life and turn your life around because you are in control. And the famous psychologist Carl Jung talks about this concept of this hidden self-sabotaging shadow of the self, which essentially you could call this the dark force that is out to get you. So this line here is going to represent the mirror, and this is you, this is the good version of yourself, and this is the dark shadow that is holding you back. And people see this as like they represent it in other ways, as I said, like the government or the Matrix, or people are out to get me, dark forces. But really, this is a part of your own brain, and it's the problem isn't outside, it's not in the environment around you, it's right here inside your brain, and this is what is preventing you from getting rich. And this is something I've experienced personally. This idea of self-sabotage. When I was younger, doing a lot of partying and things like going to raves. and I'd come home from them and I'd be like, you know, why did I do that? And, you know, I was thinking, why am I self-sabotaging myself? And it's something that all of us have inside us, you know, this self-destructive nature. But essentially what it is this old version of yourself that you cling on to, these beliefs about who you are, you know, what you've done in the past, is trying to claw you back. So, you know, if you imagine you've got your character and you've got your mind, you know, your mind knows what it needs to do. You know you need to go and make that call, or you need to go and get that sales call, you need to cold call, you need to reach out to them people. However, you know, this part of you goes, no, don't do it. You know, stay comfy. You know, they're going to reject you, don't do it. And this is this shadow of a self that you could call, and it is holding you back. And, you know, when you look in the mirror and you really come to terms with this, you know, you realize that, you know, you are the same person. And, you know, this is just like a little bitch inside you that you need to kill and become the greatest version of yourself. And you might be thinking, yeah, you know, that's great. I understand that there's this self-sabotaging part of me, but how do I actually change this? And it's through, first of all, your beliefs. So you first of all get your beliefs right, which, you know, I'm going to help you with in this video today. And by the end of it, you're going to have a solid mindset to go home with and start doing some amazing shit with. So your beliefs, and what your beliefs do is they drive action. So your beliefs, you believe, I need to write something. So your mind tells your hand to pick up the pen, and that is the action. And then your action drives the result. So the result is the outcome. So what we're all looking for, we're all looking to make money. Like at the end of the day, we can know this stuff, but really we're here because we want to make money. And, when you have this chain, when you get these beliefs right, you're able to take the correct action, which then gets you the correct result. And then once you get the result, and this might be positive or negative, so this can be, good or bad. And what we need to do once we get the result is then feed this back to our belief system. And it needs to be in a healthy way. So what you need to understand that this is a self-fulfilling cycle that goes round. So we get the belief, we get a certain action, whether that might be making the cold call. The result, we might get rejected or we might get the call. So if we get rejected, that's going to feed back to us, right, okay, well, we need to do something different. I need to change my approach. I need to change my script. I need to change my tonality, the way I act. But, most people get this result, they fail, and they feed the belief back that, I'm no good at this, I can't make money with this doesn't work, this is a scam. And this is the total wrong way to do about it, because this just reaffirms this and goes the opposite way. So it goes into a negative feedback cycle instead of a positive feedback cycle. But for example, if the result was you got rejected and you were like, I need to get better at this, then you're going to take better actions, which is going to get you a better result. And this is going to snowball and create momentum for you in your life. So a lot of you might not know what this is, but this is a Newton's cradle. And this represents the law of momentum from Newton's cradle. I wonder if I've got that wrong actually. But essentially, once you build momentum, it passes through and it creates momentum in something that was static to originally. But so these ones here, they're all moving right now because I just knocked them, but they have no energy on their own. When you create momentum, that passes through. And this is what you're going to do here. You're going to create this, this momentum by building up this positive cycle in the right way, rather than going the negative way and building the wrong beliefs. And even if it was a good result, maybe you close the call, then this is going to tell you what you need to do again, or what you need to do better, or how you need to go hard, do more calls. And what we really need to be conscious of is building a positive feedback loop. Now, the next point I wanted to talk about is shedding your old identity. Now, a lot of us go through life and we believe that, we are this person, we are this, static version of ourselves, we can't change. And you often hear, myths and things like that, or like, stick to your roots, don't change, don't turn into someone else, or, you're not the person you used to be. And, this is all a myth that keeps us stuck in the same negative feedback cycle that is essentially not getting us the results that we want, and it's keeping us stuck where we are and keeping us in pain. So how do we break free from this? We break free from this by understanding that, the only thing that matters in life, and this is something I learned from my mentor, is that, there's no such thing as who we are or anything like that. It's just, a magnificent illusion, essentially. The only thing that matters is who we are turning into or who we are becoming. And what I mean by this is, the person you think you are right now, or your personality, is just a collection. And you imagine this, bag here, you've got this big sack of, this is you, and this is my beliefs. This is, my past, what's happened to me. These are my, what my friends say about me. And we believe that, this is us, and this is who we are and we can't change. When really, the only thing that is true, because life is not static and life is constantly changing and you're constantly growing. And the only thing that matters is who we are turning into. And you have full control over who you're becoming into. And that's through your actions, your beliefs, what you're doing on a daily basis, whether you're watching Netflix or whether you're reading that book, We have control over this, and this is so powerful to realize that, it doesn't matter where you've come from, where you started, whether you started poor, whether you started from, a third world country. It does not matter. The only thing that matters is what you were doing to better that and who you are becoming. And, like this tree, instead of just digging your roots here and saying, this is me, this is as tall as I'm growing, you can actually develop these roots and you can grow much further than you ever even imagined in life. And, the only thing that is true is that you can fully unlock your true potential if you wanted it, but it is how bad you want that. And, you can stick here and have a comfy life and think, I'm just going to grow this tall, or you can dig your roots in and grow and, build a solid foundation that's going to allow you to grow much higher and achieve much more than 99% of people. And don't get me wrong, as I say, people's like, stick to your roots, things like that. You're going to feel like an imposter, and it's something I've dealt with my entire life, this imposter syndrome. But the truth is, when you feel like this is a sign that you are growing and you are stepping outside of your comfort zone. The next point I wanted to talk about is an overemphasis on things that are physical. Now, there are so many things that are going on in the world around us. We can't see atoms, we can't see the wind, we can't see, the force of momentum or gravity and things like that, but these are real things. And, the current paradigm about the world tells us, to focus on the physical things because we can measure them and we can see them. And it's actually surprising how little we actually know about the brain. So we can, see distant planets and what's going on with them and their ecosystems, but, we can't even understand what is driving the world and what is inside our own mind. And, very much, what is holding you back in life is these mind viruses. And, these mind viruses can come in the form of negative beliefs. It can come in the form of, what you're being taught in school, or what you're taught by your parents, or what you're taught by your friends around you. And this seeps into your own mind, and then you begin to consolidate on these beliefs and begin to believe it yourself. Things like, oh, if only I could get lucky and make money, or, I'm waiting to win the lottery. And these are terrible things that can cause so much damage to your brain, but you don't realize because they're so widely accepted by society. And in fact, these mind viruses are some of the biggest things that are going to jeopardize your success. And these are things like self-doubt, lack of self-belief, lack of confidence. And these are things that are developed through experience. So people tell us certain things, we then build on that belief, or someone tells, oh, we didn't look that great that day. Falters our confidence, so then we begin to build this negative feedback loop on our confidence. Or maybe I'm not that good looking, or maybe I'm ugly, and this spirals and creates these mind viruses which then dictate how we show up in the world or show up in terms of our actions. What you need to understand, and what I talked about slightly earlier, is you are your own worst enemy. There is no one that is going to sabotage your own success, or no one who's got it in for you. Not even your worst enemy or the person you hate the most in the world is going to stop you from being successful as much as you can yourself. You are solely responsible for your brain. That is your computer system. And if you treat it, badly, and you fill it full of these, mind viruses and negative beliefs, then that is going to dictate your life. And the next thing I wanted to talk about is the myth of the Matrix. Now, the Matrix, you might have seen the movie, you might have not. I've not actually seen all the Matrix, but in terms of this, this is by understanding this belief that society adopts and you living by it. Because, the thing is that if a lot of people follow a certain way, and there's a lot of studies behind this, it usually means that they're wrong. So, people are sheep and they follow crowds, and this usually means that what everyone else is doing is probably wrong, meaning that if everyone else is going forward, then you should probably zigzag, because 99% of people, are not successful, and we see this in the wealth distribution of the top 1% owning it. So that means that, if you're doing what everyone else is doing, normal people to say, then you're going to get normal results, and the people that get exceptional results or abnormal results are the abnormal people. And the way you need to achieve this is by essentially breaking free of, the current paradigm of what society tells you about how to live your life, or what you should believe, and, what is the best option for you. And, we're going to go through this now. And this is misunderstanding oneself. So as I talked about, there is no such thing as you to say, I'm not saying disown the current version of yourself or anything like that, but the only thing that matters in this life is who you're turning into and who you're becoming. And as I said earlier, you have direct influence over this by reading the books, getting yourself in the right situation, building the right network. And it doesn't matter where you are right now or how depressed or how down you are, the next day you can wake up and make a difference and make a step forward to change. And the second thing, just to sort of summarize again, is focusing too much on the physical, focusing what is on the outside. Because a lot of the time we can't change the direct environment we're in, but we can change the environment that we've got in our head, which then influences the outside environment. But as I said, society teaches that, very little about the brain. We don't actually know a lot about the brain, and that, everything is determined by what goes on in the outside material world, when, this is almost completely wrong. And what we are seeing right now in the world is this sort of clash between classical physics and with quantum physics. You know, classical physics sort of, you know, leaning on the side of the argument that the egg come first, then consciousness, or, you know, a chicken and the egg, but essentially that, you know, the body came first, and then we had consciousness, you know, we had an organism, and then we developed this, you know, this mind that we have today that's able to build buildings and skyscrapers and, you know, great inventions. Whereas, you know, quantum physics would say that no, consciousness came first, and that we developed a body to experience physical reality, touch, smell, you know, hearing, and, you know, that come after the consciousness. And I would agree with this as well, because, you know, when we look at it this way, you know, it makes a lot more sense. You know, our brain never sees light. However, we can see this, you know, this magnificent illusion of what life looks like, and I can touch this table. But if we look on a quantum level, then me and this table are the same thing. We're both atoms, you know, both protons all together, combined together. So, you know, what you need to understand is, although we can't see these forces and, you know, like momentum and, you know, the law of attraction and things like this, these are very real things that determine our lives. And the more you focus on this, the more you're going to see amazing results in your life. And it did for me. When I started adopting, you know, when I first read the book about law of attraction, this absolutely changed my life. And to this day, you know, even when I've got, you know, much further along in my entrepreneurial journey, I still attribute a lot of my beginning and success at the beginning towards adopting these beliefs, building, you know, things like law of attraction, building momentum behind that is what allowed me to get where I am today. Number 3. And this is the procrastination virus. Now, this is probably, you know, one of the main reasons why you're watching this video, and this is definitely something I really struggled with. And society tells us, you know, you need to think it through, make sure you're careful, get a nice business plan together. But I'm here to tell you that, you know, most of my results come from taking action and having a relentless bias towards action instead, because you learn so much more from actually doing it than you do sat there thinking about it. Because oftentimes you think about it so much that you end up talking yourself out of it altogether, and you never even end up trying. You know, what I've really come to grips with in my recent life is that, you know, I don't care if I fail anymore. If I start that business, if I start that e-commerce store and it fails, because, you know, the thing that would, you know, hurt me more is if I, you know, a few years I, you know, went into the shop or something like that, and I went online and I seen someone else doing that product and being successful with it, and knowing that, you know, if I would just tried or I'd just give it a go, then it could have worked. And I'm completely okay with understanding that, you know, it could fail, could lose all that money that I put into it. But, you know, what if I never did it? And that would hurt me more, to sit there on a deathbed and think, you know, I could have sold that company for 180 million. But, you know, I had this, you know, procrastination bug, and I never end up getting to it, and I end up talking myself out of it. And, you know, most of the time, just take action first. You know, you should definitely think through it, but don't sit there all day procrastinating, thinking, oh, I could do this, could do that. Because 99% of what you're going to learn is from actually doing it, and that's where you're going to get the results. The 5th thing I want to talk about is, and I'm running out of ink here, that's how much, you know, I'm trying to teach you guys, but victim mindset. Now, this is something, you know, I'm going to admit, I totally had when I was younger. I was like, you know, because my dad wasn't around, things like that, and it left us with, you know, no money and things like that, and I had to sort of fend myself and my mum and my sisters. I had this victim mindset. I was like, woe is me, you know, all my friends are richer than me, they get money for Christmas and things like that, they get loads of money and they can go shopping, and, you know, they get their driving lessons paid for and the car and everything like that. And this is a total wrong way to look at it, because when you're in this mindset, this victim mindset, it takes all your power out of you in order to, you know, create change. Because you think, if you look at it this way, you're essentially saying that the reason where you are right now is because of external circumstances and things like that, which takes the control away from you, because you can't control external circumstances. But if you take that onto you and be like, right, okay, you know, the situation is what it is, but, you know, ultimately, you know, channel the lack and, you know, this pain I have into motivation that's going to allow me to actually create change and create the life that I actually want. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the illusion of luck and chance, and I've just put a line through it so you can't even read it now. But essentially, you know, something I touched on earlier in regards to, like, people like, you know, if I won the lottery, then I'm going to be rich. But really, you know, I don't believe in luck at all, and, you know, I don't even believe in coincidences. I believe that it's an incomprehensible chain of tiny micro decisions, like the butterfly effect, of chain of cause and effect that have led to that. So, you know, for example, you don't have to agree with this, but what I believe when, you know, you've been thinking about that person and then you end up bumping into them in the supermarket, something like that. And I believe, you know, on a level that we couldn't comprehend, you know, because we've developed through evolution these sort of blinkers, like a horse, if you can imagine, where, you know, we're not able to process so much information because it just wastes energy, you know, that our mind takes, and we need that for eating and hunting and moving about and things like that. So we've developed this sort of narrow vision of life, but really we can't see all these thousands, or even process the thousands of micro decisions that have led us to where we are. And then we call it things like deja vu, and we call it things like, you know, coincidences, which I just don't believe in. I believe it's, you know, something we couldn't really fully understand. You know, we could never begin to understand because of the way our, you know, brains have developed through evolution. But, you know, the reason we bumped into that person is because we were thinking about them essentially from the beginning. what I genuinely believe that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And people get lucky is because they are prepared to capitalize on that situation or on that opportunity because they put the work in, they've read the right books, they have the right belief system behind them, or they are on that path and they have this higher purpose, this goalpost that they're aiming for. So when that opportunity arises, they're ready to jump on that. Versus the person who hasn't prepared and they haven't done anything. So when that opportunity comes by, it fails or doesn't work, so they don't get in terms lucky, they don't get lucky, but that person who's prepared becomes lucky because that luck is, essentially the accumulation of everything they've learned, the actions they're taking, the goal they're setting, and they're meeting that correct opportunity at the right time, which creates this idea of luck. Recently, I was actually in Monaco about a month ago, and that was absolutely eye-opening for me. Like, I've seen wealth online and things like that, but to see billions of pounds worth of yachts in this tiny little place, which is, I live in Liverpool, probably the size of the city centre of Liverpool, Monaco. People think it's this big country, but it's absolutely tiny. You could probably walk around it in 20 minutes. It's literally like up a hill and back down a hill. But seeing that much wealth is so eye-opening. It makes you realise how much money is there actually in the economy. If I can just see in this tiny, few kilometres or square space, billions and billions of pounds in extortionate level of wealth. And I was actually laughing with my friend because we thought it was funny that there's that many supercars and Rolls Royces that it's actually way funnier when you see a smart car go past and you're like, wow, a smart car, because that's the odd one out there. But this really changed your perspective around luck and things like that. And you think these people didn't get lucky. They created in some way value in the economy, and whether it wasn't them, right, even if they inherited the money, that means that their family before them was able to achieve some great value that created in the economy in order to create this wealth. And again, when some people would look there and they feel resentment towards it, these people got lucky or they got handed down by their parents. But this is, this society's paradigm dragging you back down. And you need to understand that, if they can do it, you can do it too. A funny thing I was actually reading was that I think it was like the head of the, the patent office in the 1800s said at one point, everything that's been invented, that could possibly be invented has already been invented. And it's so when you have this imposing this box on yourself that traps you in, it's like trying to describe a TV or an iPhone to someone in the medieval times. And that's like us trying to think about the possible technology of the future. And what you need to understand is that there's so much unlimited opportunity for you to make money, and you don't have to rely on something like luck, and that you can go out there and make your own success. And that often comes breaking out this box of believing that people just got lucky to get rich and things like that. The next concept I wanted to talk about is the mind prison, and the fact that people are trapped in this prison which you could call comfort. And when you're comfy, you're not growing. And these comfort zones are essentially like a prison that keeps you trapped in this current state of pain. And and by pain, it's it might not even be on a conscious level because you're comfy and you think, oh, I'm not in pain. But comfort is one of the worst things you could be in because it means you're not growing and you're not getting anywhere. And if you're not growing, then you're slowly dying. And in order to grow into this new version of yourself that is capable of achieving the success and this extortionate level of success that you want, then you need to experience some pain, and the pain comes from growing, because you're going to feel uncomfortable while you're growing into that person. And you're going to feel these thoughts of self-doubt, lack of self-belief and things like this. But this is a good sign. And, discomfort is an amazing thing to get comfortable with. And I know that sounds almost paradoxical, but when you're comfy being uncomfy, that is when you're truly going to become the best version of yourself. Even some of your closest friends who, might have a, good intent for you are going to hold you back in this respect and try and keep you comfy. And it's not on a conscious level, but whenever, and, I've experienced this in my own life, whenever someone sees you doing well, this, really rattles that person because they know on a deep level that they have the same sort of similar opportunity to you, and, they're the same as you, or they won't be friends with you in some way, and yet they're not achieving it. So it makes them feel uncomfortable and drags out their own insecurities. And then they try and project them insecurities onto you, which can, be in the form of telling you this idea is not going to work, or, stay true to yourself, don't become that person, or you're turning into someone you're not. And what you really need to do is just, put the middle finger up to them and say, and you know what I'm going to say. Because at the end of the day, what else are you going to do except, focus on your purpose? Because, the person with no purpose pursues pleasure. And, even at my age now, I'm 23, what else is there to do except go out and drink at the weekend? So, and I don't enjoy that anymore. I've done it all. And there's a certain point where you're stood in the club and you're like, these are all the same people from college up to no good. And they're just going to do this relentlessly every weekend and go back to the job. And that's not the life I want to live. So if I could leave you one thing, it would be to pursue your purpose, find your purpose and pursue it, and understand that, this idea you've got of you right now, whether you're broke, you've got not the place you want to be in your life, you're still living in your mum's, this is all an illusion. and that it can be changed. You know, this idea of yourself of being this, you know, person that fails at things, you're not lucky. It's all an illusion. The only thing that matters is who you're becoming, and you can turn around tomorrow or even today and say, I want to become something greater and I want to become the best version of myself. So if you like this style of video and you want to see more sort of videos like this, then please, if you found value, you know, drop a little like and subscribe to the channel because it helps you out a lot, and I really want to make more videos for you guys like this. So I'll see you guys in the next one.